Hello, my dear student. Today class is the last topic of the chemical reaction and equation. So the topic is effect of oxidation reactions in everyday life. I am going to start the topic. Today class is the last class of chapter number 1. Chapter number 1 of chemical reaction and equation. Effect of oxidation reaction in everyday life. Let's start. So first one is the corrosion. Corrosion. What do you mean by the corrosion? The process of slow conversion of metals into their undesirable components by the action of the components of air, that is oxygen, moisture and other gases like SO2, NO2, CO2, H2S and acid is called corrosion. So the process of slow conversion, converting the undesirable component in a slow process, in a slow way, by the action of components of air, oxygen, moisture and other gases like SO2, NO2, CO2, H2S and acids is called corrosion. So the slow conversion of metals into their undesirable components by the action of components of air, by oxygen, moisture and other gases like SO2, NO2, CO2 and H2S gas. The conversion of iron into iron oxide. There is a brownish or reddish layer is formed on the iron when iron is kept in the air or moisture or in the rain. So this is all about the corrosion. The process of slow conversion of metals into their undesirable components. Undesirable means not important components by the action of the components of air, that is maybe moisture or oxygen and other gases like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, H2S, hydrogen sulfide and acid is called corrosion. Next one is the rain acidity, the important topic, rain acid. Lots of objective questions come in the examination from the rain acidity. The word rain acid comes from the Latin word. It is the word generated by the Latin word that is means the rain acidus, which means having an unpleasant smell. That smell is not good. Or taste, that example of rancid butter. When you keep the butter in and expose into the unprotected environment, that it becomes the rancid. When food items cook in oil and fats are kept exposed and unprotected, they give unpleasant smell. What they give? They give unpleasant smell and taste. Unpleasant smell and taste and become rain acid. This phenomena or the phenomena is called rain acidity. This is due to the oil and fats present in the food item getting oxidized by microorganisms. So objectives comes in the examination. How does a food become rain acid, or which components or which are the things by which food become rain acid? You can write there oil, fats and by the microorganism. So rain acidity is the word comes from the Latin word rain acid, which means having an unpleasant smell. That is the unpleasant smell mean unwanted smell, or that is the taste also, and become rain acid. The phenomena is called rain acidity, and this is due to the oil and fat present in the food atom and oxidize. How the food atom get oxidized? By the help of microorganisms. So my dear student, this is all about the topic of chapter number 1. Chapter number 1, chemicals reaction and equation. Today that chapter is completed. All the things I have discussed in this chapter, all the topic I have discussed in this chapters. So this is the next topic is the exercise of your NCERT questions. Exercise of your NCERT questions. NCERT questions. So my dear student, we are going to discuss the NCERT questions one by one. So first question is, why does the color of copper sulfate change when an iron nail is dipped into it? Why does the color of copper sulfate is change when an iron nail dipped in it? Question number 1. NCERT questions of exercise. NCERT questions of exercises. Exercises. We are going to discuss. Question number 1. Question number 1 is, why does the color of copper sulfate? Why does the question number 1. Why does the color of copper sulfate, why does the color of copper sulfate change when an iron nail dipped in it? We discuss all the questions one by one. So my dear student, first of all, you write down the answer. When an iron nail is placed in a copper sulfate solution, when an iron nail is placed in a copper sulfate solution, the short form of solution I write there, iron displaces from copper. Iron displaces from copper. Iron displaces from copper sulfate solution, from copper sulfate solution. I write the full form solution, full word solution, forming iron sulfate. Forming iron sulfate. Forming iron sulfate, which is green in color. Which is green in color. So I am going to write the equation. When an iron nail is placed in copper sulfate solution, iron displaces from copper. Iron displaces from copper. Iron displaces copper from copper sulfate. Iron displaces copper from copper sulfate solution, forming iron sulfate, which is green in color. So the reaction is Fe plus CuSO4, that in the aqueous form, and you can write FeSO4 plus Cu. So there is a displacement reactions occur, that is iron and that is copper sulfate, blue in color. Blue in color, and that is iron sulfate, green color. Iron sulfate or ferric sulfate, that is green in color, and that is copper. So this when an iron nail is dipped in, that is the iron nail is dipping in copper sulfate solution, it gives ferrous sulfate, green in color, and free copper in a free form. So next question is, give an example of a double displacement reaction other than one given is at 21.10. Give an example of a double displacement reaction of a double displacement reaction other than the one given, other than, it means the activity given in the book, NCERT book, other than the one given, other than the one given in activity 1.0, in activity 1.0. When you go throughout the activity 1.0, you can see there. Give an example. So I am giving an example there. Sodium carbonate react with calcium chloride. When sodium chloride or sodium carbonate reacts with calcium chloride exchange, calcium chloride exchange the formula of sodium carbonate Na2CO3 exchange ions to form two new compound, exchange ions to form to form two new compound, to form two new compounds. Hence it is a double displacement reaction. Hence it is a double displacement reaction. So what happens there? There you see the calcium chloride in the aqueous form and plus Na2CO3, that is in also aqueous form, sodium carbonate. It react to give calcium carbonate plus NaCl. They react to give calcium carbonate plus 2 NaCl. The state is there, calcium carbonate in the solid form, and that is in the aqueous form. So my dear student, when sodium carbonate react with calcium chloride, exchange ions, they are exchanging ion. They are exchanging their ions. So this gives new compounds, two new compounds, that is calcium carbonate and sodium chloride. That is sodium chloride. And next one is that is the calcium chloride. And this is sodium carbonate. Sodium carbonate. So this is another example by the activity number 1.10. The next question I am going to write here, the question number 3. My dear student, so मेरे प्यारे बच्चों, I am not giving you the Hindi word. So it is all about that you are the student of CBSE and you are giving the board examination. So I try to speak in English and elaborate the questions in English also, because it is quite you be understand in your by your common sense. So this is question number 3. Identify the substance that are oxidized. Identify the substances that are oxidized and the substance that are oxidized and the substance that are reduced and the substance that are reduced in the following reactions. In the following reactions. So there are two reactions are there. NCERT questions are there. So first one is the First one is the first one is 4Na plus O2 gas, that gives you 2Na2O. 2Na2O. Second one is CuOS plus S2 gas, that gives you CuS plus S2. Cu plus S2. So that is the answer. I am going to write here the answer. This is the NCERT questions. This is the NCERT questions. Okay. And that is the page number. I am going to write the page number also there, my dear student. I am going to write the page number also there. So the page number, some students get confused that from which page sir is giving the question. That is the page number 13. That is the page number 13. Okay. NCERT questions, page number 13. So my dear student, this is a first one. First you take the first one. That is the 4Na as plus O2 gas and 2Na2O in a solid form. So you can write sodium is oxidized and it gains oxygen. Sodium is oxidized. Sodium is oxidizing there. Sodium is oxidized and it gains oxygen, and it gains oxygen. Okay, it gains oxygen and oxygen gets reduced, and oxygen gets reduced because it is going to be reduced. Oxygen is going to be reduced here. Sodium is oxidized here and oxygen is going to be reduced. Second one is CuOS plus O2 gas. It is going to be CuS plus S2 liquid. Sorry, there is H2. So copper oxidized copper oxide, in this reaction copper oxide CuO is reduced to copper, is reduced to copper, is reduced to copper, is reduced to copper and reduced to copper Cu, while hydrogen has to get oxide, while hydrogen H2 gets oxidized to water, that is H2O. Here copper oxide is reduced to copper while hydrogen gets oxidized to water. So this is all about the question asking that identify the substance that are oxidized and that are reduced. So there is a in Na and O2. Sodium is oxidized and it gains oxygen, and oxygen is get reduced, and oxygen is going to reduce here. And in this reaction copper oxide is reduced to copper and hydrogen is going to oxidize into water. This is all about the question of NCERT questions. Okay, so after that we are going to discuss the exercise in the next class. Thank you for watching my video. Give more and more like and subscribe and share these videos to those students who are unable to get tuitions or who are unable to learn the things more deeply. So you can just give share one share is make some other student improvement, and one by your one share some student get very benefited. So my dear student, this is all about the chapter number 1, and in next class I am going to solve the and all the NCERT question. Approx 20 questions is there of exercises. That is the page number starting from the page number 14 to page number 16. So my dear student, in the next class I am going to solve all the question answer. This is all about the chapter number 1. Thank you for watching my video.